I know the road to everything. I know it goes right off a cliff. Ew, fancy packaging. I am so excited, you guys, when they announced that they were going to be reissuing this. When they started re-releasing a lot of their old releases as vinyl records, I was really hoping that they would redo this one anew. Pretty much it was a matter of time. I mean, if Dead Poetic got a vinyl reissue of New Medicines, which is a good album, honestly, but if they got that, come on, where's the love for... No, sir. Nihilism is not practical. It is to me, it's a quintessential Showbread album. This is pretty much what started them off. I mean, they did do some releases. I don't remember if they worked with another indie label or if they did it entirely on their own or not. I don't really remember. But I know that they had released a couple of things before this, but this was their official full-length debut, and it was with Solid State and Tooth and Nail Records. They weren't really sure exactly which to put them under, so I think they put both logos on the original CD for both labels, because, I mean, they were more punk than they were metal, but they did so much screaming. It's what happens when you take punk and you just go completely off the wall with it. This album was a huge influence on my life and as a creative individual in general. Josh Dye is an amazing songwriter. I really love his work, and I absolutely love this album. This is one of my #1 favorite albums of all time. I am savoring this moment looking at this before I open it. So, here we go! Check it out, oh my god! There's supposed to be a book in here too. Ooh. Come on. Here's a vinyl record. This one is, now they come in, this is a double LP format, so we've got one that's all black, that's this one, and the other one's red. I'll open up the red one because obviously I'm not going to show you a plain black record. So I'm going to set this boy off the side because I got to put it in a protective sleeve, protective inner sleeve, because that's what I do. Oh, check that out. It's kind of like a half transparent. That is so cool. I've never seen that before. And it goes in a it's set to be somewhat diagonal with the label to go with the whole go with this whole aesthetic that they were kind of pushing. That is just neat. It's like, wow, I've never seen that before. It's kind of amusing. It's like you got one that's like a plain black record, and the other one looks like looks like this. That's cool, and it's unique, and it's what this album deserves. It deserves, a unique, packaging that was well thought out and intended with this whole, this release in mind. I'm excited. And did you want all the lyrics? Because all of the lyrics are in very fine print. Very fine print on this package. And then you got the, which I'm going to take the time to read all these notes down here at some points. The notes are most likely quite different from what they were in the original CD release. And then you flip it over. If you remember this image from the original CD packaging, obviously that's here. And then, of course, little background on the album and on the early days of the band, and I am really looking forward to reading this, although I don't recommend trying to read it while listening to the album, unless you are just the type of person that can read while anything is going on in the background, because you're going to have a difficult time reading something while this. Alright, so we're not quite done yet. I'm going to do one more thing real quick. And there it is. The original. Well, not the original, but this is the copy that I had as a teenager. It's the same one that I bought at, what was it? I don't remember. It was called Living Water, something like that. A Christian bookstore out in Delaware. That's where I bought this as a kid. You can tell this disc has seen quite a lot of play. I think it even has topside damage. I'm pretty sure it does. Yeah, I'm one of those kind of pack rats that kind of holds on to stuff for sentimental value. This thing surprisingly still copies to PC just fine, but most CD players, you're not gonna, it doesn't know what to do with it. Skips on most songs. So you can almost call this vinyl release kind of somewhat of a replacement. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to include that because, you know, this was the original copy that I bought, and you can tell that this here part of the back, because I originally folded this. This is not the original plastic jewel case. I originally folded, because back then we moved so much, so I was putting all my CDs in a great big binder, and I would put all the packaging in there so that eventually, whenever I had my own place or whatever, I would, you know, get new jewel cases and basically put all this stuff back together so this can properly sit on my shelf. And so, yeah, I mean, that's how much, you know, inspiration means to me, and how much, you know, I've been inspired by other bands over the years and all that sort of thing. So, yeah, this is a bit of an emotional moment for me, and thank you for joining me for this. I'm going to put the records in sleeves and think about how great this album is. Hi, guess what? You get a little bonus. Oh my god, she's actually using the tree I bought her. You didn't know. Oh my god, she's so cute, little hidey hole. Oh my god, she's actually using it. Okay, when I brought her home and I put this thing together, well, actually I put this thing together before I brought her home. But it's like, I put that thing together, and then when I brought her home, she didn't really use it, like, at all. Oh my gosh, look at her now, she's sitting there. Oh my god, look at her all cozy in her little hidey hole. Oh. Okay, so a couple of things. I did not order this offline. So this did not come to me in the mail. I'll explain in a second. And obviously, it's not, you know, music from a band or whatever. This isn't band merch, but it is music related. Obviously, you can tell if you're not reading the box, that, or if you don't know what the box means. This is an instrument. So I'm adding another instrument to my collection. It is used, but very gently used, because it also belonged to my guitarist, Axum. As you know him from the show. Or you should know him from the show! Anyway, so, and also he is an incredible musician. One of the first things I did when I first met him is I jammed on this while he was like playing guitar or whatever. I don't remember who was doing drums, but we were just kind of playing around, and he told me, I'll never forget this, like, man, I've never heard anybody rock that thing like you did. Well, obviously several years down the line pass, and I was talking to him the other day about how I was thinking about picking one of these up, and he's like, well, wouldn't you know, I'm actually thinking about selling mine. So here we go. We're going to take a look at what this is if you haven't seen an Korg MC-20 before. MC-20? MS-20. MS-20 Mini is not the full-size one. I don't know what entirely the features of the full-size one are, but this pretty much has everything. It's just a shorter range of keys. Let's open up. Let me pack this up good. All right. So it even has tape. It's been a long time since I've seen this. You put a little Velcro bit here because He also used a K oscillator and a K os pad. And I believe the K os pad, the K oscillator was here. And that way you can like plug it into that and mess around. But yeah, there we go. But that's not all you want to see, right? You probably want to see me playing a little bit, don't you? Well, just hope that felt. So, there goes my tinkering around with this. Now I've got a new toy and a lot of research to do. Get real excited for my next solo album. Please. Oh, hi. So, this just came in the mail today. It's actually one of 2 recent music buys. They got them individually, but look at that. Not in cardboard and in a bubble mailer, but just straight up wrapped in cardboard. Now, in most cases, that would be fine. But when we open it up and I show you what it is, and if you don't know what it is by looking at it, I will explain it, and then you'll be like, just like how I'm thinking right now, like, what? Alright, let's do it. Whee! Alright, I forgot the screen transition. Life, Kisses, and Other Wasted Efforts by Showbread. Now this is considerably rare now. Not super rare, but still. Guess how much these go for right now? I mean, this is used. It looks like it's in pretty good condition too. If the thing would focus. Let's see about scratches. Can't really see from the viewfinder. Oh wow, there's like pretty much no scratches on there. It's a little dirty. Cloth will do. Oh, there's a few scratches. They're very light. But still, as old as this disc is, that's actually not bad. I don't see any topside damage, so there should not be any holes or disc rot. Which, that is important. especially because what I'm about to say. Guess how much these things go for if you haven't looked it up, or if you don't already know. And I'm pretty sure you haven't looked it up, because not enough of you are nerdy enough to who watch these videos to actually look it up yourself as soon as this comes up. Spent $50 on that disc. And they put it in this. This is the only thing protecting it from everything else, from Colorado to Oklahoma. So yeah, that Amazon seller's gonna lose a star or two for that. That's just, I mean, even though yes, technically it works and it arrived in perfectly fine condition. I mean, that's just disrespectful. I mean, that's disrespectful to the thing that you're selling at, you know, a collector's price, and to the collector you're selling it to. So you better learn your lesson on that. That's not cool. Anyway, I'm just a huge fan of Showbread. Otherwise, wouldn't pay $50 for an old CD. But this was the album they came out with. This is the third full-length album they came out with, and this was just before they signed with Tooth and Nail Records. So this comes before No Sir, Nihilism is Not Practical. So, and I'm a huge fan of Showbread. I've been going on YouTube looking at some of the old archived stuff that they've had on their that they had from their back catalog. And so I've always kind of wanted this album because of its mystique and the fact that this was before they signed to Tooth and Nail. Because when they signed to Tooth and Nail, they really blew up. They got big in the underground scene around the time before this, which is why they were able to afford to be on Steel Roots Records to get this published, and this looks legit. I mean, this is a proper indie package CD. So I mean, they were big enough to get signed back then, but once they got major distribution, you know, things really changed. So I'm really looking forward to listening to this. This disc itself will not see very many spins because with my rarer additions to my collection, I don't really listen to them much on the actual discs. I copy them and then I mainly listen to the copies. So anyway, there you go. Welcome to part 2, I think. Or was this going to be separate? It does not matter. You see in my lap another parcel. And I am in a vehicle outside of the mailbox on my way home from work. And now I don't know why I'm talking with varying assonance and tones. But what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm going to open this and you can see. I'll give you a couple seconds to guess what this could possibly be. Never mind. Wow, not the most graceful there, screen transition. Get your crap together. Anyway, this was properly wrapped because it was between some cardboard as well as inside a bubble wrapper. Take notes, those who are selling collectibles. And this little sticker here, it says out of print, is correct. Now, this is not factory sealed. This is used, so I will be taking this off. But yeah, this is the very first Project 86 album, the self-titled. This is, no one really talks about this one nearly as much as they talk about Drawing Black Lines, but in my opinion, it's just as important. This was more in their kind of a little bit more nu metal time. They were never really nu metal, but I mean, this was kind of close to that. They had more of a rap rock thing going on at the time, I think, and it was not cringe whatsoever. It was actually really, really good. But I think Andrew Schwab has, you know, taken strides to distance himself from that. And yeah, nobody knows Project 86 for having that sound anymore. When they came out with Truthless Heroes, that's when they kind of established what their new sound would be like. And then they kind of reinvented themselves when pretty much all the band members except Schwab left. And so it was pretty much just him with new band members. Then he came out with Wait for the Siren. They established a new sound for themselves. But to me, nothing beats Songs to Burn Your Bridges By. That is one of my favorite albums of all time, start to finish. But this is where it all started, and I've always wanted to have a copy of this, and now I do. It is very difficult to find. Copies of it used usually go for about 30 bucks. I believe it's about what I paid for this one. So yeah, very rare. Really thrilled to have this.
In a time long past, roughly 1 year ago, there was in fact a pre-order for 2 EPs, the first of which arrived on time. However, the second of the 2 evolved into a full-length album. And so, that pre-order has finally arrived. This is the 3rd full-length album from Death Therapy. I would say highly anticipated, except not enough people know what Death Therapy is.
And here it is, Melancholy Machines. I've been wanting to listen to this all the way through since Jason Wisdom said, oh, by the way, that EP I was working on became a whole album. This time, it was actually released by Tooth and Nail Records, not Solid State. I'm trying to hold the phone and make this thing focus on the Tooth and Nail logo is kind of a pain. The autofocus on this phone has actually not been my friend lately for some reason. But you can tell, Tooth and Nail Records. So, because this is much less heavy than the first 2 Death Therapy albums, it just made more sense to release it through Tooth and Nail versus Solid State. But surprisingly, Tooth and Nail even wanted to release this at all. We weren't necessarily expecting them to do that. So when Tooth and Nail advertised that, yeah, there's a new Death Therapy album coming out, I was like, oh, wow, so they're actually going to publish this. So here it is. This is the disc, what they paid to have manufactured, and I can't wait to listen to the music that's on it. And in order for me to do that, I have to take the plastic off of it, which means I got to set my phone down again. And here we are. It opens like this. So I don't know if this is necessarily called a digipack. It's called a something. They released the new Devil Wears Prada EP like this. Same thing. So yep, you get a little booklet with the lyrics in it, which is what you want, and then close it. And of course, the simplistic Death Therapy logo, very, very, very cool. And now I cannot wait to listen to this, so I'm going to put it in there so it can be digitized into my personal library. Nowhere else. Digitized into my personal library, and then I will burn an MP3 CD of all the music, and then I can play it in my car. Why don't you use Spotify? Because my car does not have an aux input. I still have to burn CDs. Anyway, so there you go. It's the Melancholy Machines, the new Death Therapy full-length album. It's the 3rd one, and then there's this EP, and there's plenty of these still available. It's instrumental, so if you're thinking, oh, Christian music's not cool enough, well, there's no lyrics in this one, so what's your excuse? Support this guy. He's making interesting and unique music. You always complain about the same music being pushed out all the time, and how metalcore is getting boring. This is not metalcore. It is industrial by, a veteran of the new metal and hardcore scene. And it's good. And it's really good. And also on this specific EP, there's a lot of guest guitarists that do solos and stuff on it. It's good. Yeah. Support Death Therapy. Come on now.